Welcome back to Jay's Retro Toys and Games. It's time for another look at an interesting console, and today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating consoles of the 1990s, the Sega Saturn. It was bold, complex, and full of potential, yet it stumbled in one of gaming's most competitive eras. Over the next 15 minutes, we'll explore its creation, its triumphs, its struggles, and its lasting legacy. Episode 88 is upon us, ready to go. Merry Christmas! On this edition of Jay's Retro Toys and Games, it's the Sega Saturn. Coming up! Merry Christmas to all of you on this December 25th, 2025. Season 4 is still going on with the Console Wars, episode 88, and tonight it is the Sega Saturn. I'm your host, Jason DeCanio, and we wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas, and we hope that maybe you received this console sometime during a Christmas or two, and you had a chance to play the Sega Saturn. Well, in the early 90s, Sega was riding high, and the Genesis had taken the world by storm, and Sega's arcade division was producing smash hits like Virtua Fighter, Daytona USA, and Outrun. Sega was seen as the cool, edgy alternative to Nintendo. But technology was evolving fast, and 3D graphics were the next frontier, and Sega wanted to bring its arcade magic home. The company began developing a new console that could handle both 2D and 3D, a system that would become the Sega Saturn. The Saturn's design was ambitious. Sega engineers built it around dual Hitachi SH2 processors, supported by multiple video and sound chips. On paper, it was a beast, capable of stunning 2D visuals and complex 3D effects. But this power came at a cost. The architecture was notoriously difficult to program for. Developers had to manage 2 CPUs and several code processors, making optimization a nightmare. Sega's own team could handle it, but third-party studios struggled. It was a classic case of over-engineering, powerful but complicated, and that complexity would haunt the Saturn for the rest of its life. The Sega Saturn launched in Japan on November 22nd of 1994, just weeks before Sony's PlayStation. The launch was a hit. Over 170,000 units sold on day one, thanks to Virtua Fighter. Sega's arcade dominance translated perfectly to the home console. In Japan, the Saturn was a success story, and it appealed to older gamers, arcade fans, and RPG enthusiasts. Sega's brand was strong, and the PlayStation hadn't yet built its reputation. In North America, things went differently. At E3 1995, Sega shocked the industry by announcing that the Saturn was available immediately, 4 months earlier than planned. It was meant to outsmart Sony, but it backfired. Retailers weren't prepared, developers weren't ready, and only a handful of games were available. And then Sony took the stage and announced the PlayStation's $299 price, a full $100 cheaper than the Saturn. And the surprise launch alienated retailers and confused consumers. Sega's once strong reputation began to crack. The Saturn's complex hardware made it tough for developers to create games efficiently, and meanwhile, Sony's PlayStation was easier to program for and offered better tools. Third-party developers flocked to Sony. Big names like Capcom, Namco, and Square shifted focus to the PlayStation, leaving Sega to rely heavily on its own studios. And even when games appeared on both systems, the PlayStation versions often looked better and they ran better. Despite its struggles, the Saturn had an incredible lineup. Virtua Fighter 2 was a technical masterpiece. Sega Rally Championship delivered realistic racing physics. Panzer Dragoon and Nights into Dreams showed off Sega's creativity and artistry. And for RPG fans, the Saturn was a treasure chest. Shining Force 3, Dragon Force, Albert Odyssey, and Panzer Dragoon Saga, they're now legendary. And many of these titles never left Japan, making them prized collectibles today. Sega's marketing didn't help. The company struggled to define what the Saturn was. Was it a 2D powerhouse? A 3D machine? A multimedia system? The messaging was inconsistent, and consumers were confused. And meanwhile, Sony's marketing was sleek, modern, and focused on the future of 3D gaming. Sega's image, once rebellious and cool, started to feel outdated. And by 1997, the PlayStation had taken over. Nintendo's N64 joined the fight, and Sega's market share collapsed. Developers abandoned the Saturn, and Sega's financial losses mounted. And then in 1998, Sega officially discontinued the Saturn in North America. The company shifted focus to its next console, the Dreamcast, hoping to rebuild its reputation. While the Saturn struggled in the West, it thrived in Japan. The console became a haven for visual novels, strategy RPGs, and 2D fighters. Games like Sakura Wars, Radiant Silvergun, and Grandia became cult classics. In Japan, the Saturn's life extended well into the late 90s, supported by a passionate fan base and a steady stream of quality releases. Today, the Sega Saturn is a collector's dream. Its rare games, unique hardware, and deep library make it one of the most sought-after retro systems. Sought after, actually. And collectors and fans continue to preserve its legacy through fan translations, emulation, and hardware restoration. The Saturn's story is one of ambition, innovation, and lessons learned. It may not have won the console wars, but it left behind a legacy of creativity and courage. And there you have it, friends. That's the complete history of the Sega Saturn. A console that dared to dream big. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more retro history right here at Jay's Retro Toys and Games. Episode 89 comes to you next week during our Christmas season. You'll see this beautiful this logo with the Merry Christmas, and they're doing a little animation with the little Christmas trees. We'll have this up all during the next 2 weeks going into the new year. I'm Jason DeCanio. Have a great night, and remember to be honest, be real, and always keep it simple, stupid. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.